For most people, having a close group of friends is an essential path of survival. For a few others, who needs enemies when you have frenemies? This is the theme of today's episode about a young man who was lured to his death by people well known to him. It was a day like any other in Bangalore, India, when Sharath, a promising 19-year-old engineering student, left his home to meet his friends. His father, a senior income tax officer, had no idea that this would be the last time he would see his son alive. One of Sharath's friends had bought a bike, and he asked Sharath if he wanted to come and try it out. So, in excitement, Sharath went to meet his friend to try out the bike. As the day turned into night, Sharath's family began to worry. They tried calling him, but his phone was switched off. They contacted his friends, but none of them had any information about his whereabouts. Panic set in, and they filed a missing persons report with the police. The police launched a massive search for Sharath. They scoured the city, questioned his friends and family, and checked CCTV footage, but there was no sign of the young man. Days went on, and the family's hope began to fade. A few days into Sharath's disappearance, the family received a ransom note through a WhatsApp voice recording, asking them for the equivalent of $82,000 for the safe return of their son. The family did what any reasonable people would do and reported it to the police. Sharath's friends were worried, and they even approached his parents, asking to know what their next course of action was going to be. They wanted Sharath to return home as soon as possible. The very next day, Sharath's parents received a WhatsApp video message in which they saw their son begging them not to go to the police. By this time, it was already too late, and the matter had already been reported to the police. Then, on the 10th day of Sharath's disappearance, the police received a call from a local fisherman. He had found a body floating in Ramohali Lake on the outskirts of the city. Police rushed to the scene and discovered Sharath's remains bound together with rope. It was clear that he had been murdered and the kidnappers had discarded his body in the lake. As the investigation progressed, police made a shocking discovery. Sharath's friends, who he thought he could trust, were involved in the kidnapping and murder. Vishal, who was his closest friend, was a mastermind behind the plot. They interviewed his family members and friends, including Vishal, who was Sharath's closest friend. Initially, Vishal denied any involvement in Sharath's disappearance. However, police received a tip-off that Vishal was acting suspiciously. They obtained his call records and analyzed his phone's location data. They discovered that Vishal's phone was present in the area where Sharath was last seen on the day of his disappearance. The police also analyzed CCTV footage from the area and identified the kidnapper's car, which led them to Vishal and his accomplices. This raised suspicion, and they decided to interrogate Vishal again. This time, he broke down and confessed to his involvement in Sharath's kidnapping and murder. He revealed that he had planned the kidnapping to repay a loan and had roped in his friends to help him. The police arrested Vishal and his accomplices, and during interrogation, they gave a detailed account of how they had carried out the kidnapping and murder. They led the police to the spot where they had dumped Sharath's body, which helped the police to solidify the case against them. Vishal, along with his accomplices, believed that Sharath's family was wealthy and that they could demand a ransom for his safe return. However, things went wrong when Sharath recognized one of the kidnappers and they were forced to kill him to cover their tracks. The trial was a media frenzy, and the public was outraged at the senseless and brutal killing of a young man by his friends. The trial lasted for over a year, and during that time, more shocking details emerged. The prosecution presented evidence that showed how Vishal had planned the kidnapping meticulously. Vishal had been planning the kidnapping for weeks and had even tested the ropes on his own brother to make sure they were strong enough. This indicates that maybe he had no intention of letting Sharat live to begin with. He had conducted a reconnaissance of the area where Sharat lived and worked out the details of the kidnapping. Vishal had also borrowed a car from one of his friends, which he used to kidnap Sharat. Police recovered the car, which had bloodstains on the back seat, linking it to the crime. The defense, on the other hand, argued that Vishal was under severe financial strain and that he had acted out of desperation, but the judge was not swayed, and he handed down a sentence of life imprisonment for Vishal and his accomplices. The story of Sharat's murder shook Bangalore to its core. Sharat's family was devastated, obviously, by their loss, but they took solace in the fact that justice had been served, and they hope that their story will help prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. Until next time, humans, stay safe out there.